If your love, logic, fear, and frustration were enough to change someone, they would have changed already. You have explained why it matters. You have reminded them what will happen if they continue. You have found articles, offered plans, made appointments, created deadlines, and repeated the same conversation in 5 different tones. They may even agree with you. You're right, they say. I need to do something. For a moment, you feel relief. Then, nothing changes. So you conclude that you have not found the right words yet? But what if the problem is not your explanation? What if you are trying to supply something no one can give another adult? Readiness. Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is WiseMind Stories. At 8:34 on a Monday morning, Aisha Grant realized the numbers on the client's screen were wrong. She was sitting in a glass conference room with 3 executives from Northline Health, the largest account her strategy team had ever won. On the screen was a forecast showing how many patients would remain enrolled in a new care program after 6 months. The number was 38%. It should have been 51. The client's chief financial officer leaned forward. Is this using the revised data we sent Friday? Aisha looked at Caleb, the senior analyst seated beside her. He did not look back. We're confirming the final model, Aisha said. You'll have a corrected version this afternoon. The executive closed her notebook. We are presenting this recommendation to our board tomorrow. If the analysis is not reliable, we will postpone the decision. The room changed. What had been a progress meeting became a question about whether Aisha's team could be trusted. She ended the presentation early. In the hallway, she turned to Caleb. Did you update the model? Most of it. Most of it is not a model. Caleb rubbed his forehead. I was going to finish this morning. You told me it was finished Friday. I said it was almost finished. Aisha felt months of fear arrive as anger. I have defended you, changed your workload, and checked every deadline. I do not know how to make you care anymore. Caleb looked at her for the first time. You can't. Then he walked toward the elevator. Aisha had managed Caleb for 3 years. When he joined the firm, he was the person everyone wanted on a difficult project. He found patterns other analysts missed. He could take a disorganized set of data and turn it into one clean question that changed the direction of a meeting. Aisha had recommended him for promotion before he thought he was ready. His success felt personal to her. So did his decline. Aisha had her own history with being given a chance. Early in her career, a manager had defended her after she made an expensive mistake. He did not remove her from the project. He made her explain what happened, repair the client relationship, and lead the next review. She never forgot what it felt like to be seen as more than her worst week. When Caleb began struggling, Aisha told herself she was offering the same kind of faith. But her old manager had given her responsibility. Aisha was slowly taking responsibility away from Caleb. That difference was hidden beneath a story she liked about herself. Good leaders do not give up on talented people. The story made it difficult to ask a more honest question. Was she still supporting Caleb, or was she protecting herself from feeling like the manager who had failed to save him? It began quietly after the company reorganized. Caleb's role changed from deep analysis to more client presentations and administrative reporting. He missed one internal deadline, then another. His work arrived late and unfinished. When colleagues asked for updates, he said he was almost done. Aisha responded the way competent, caring people often respond. She increased effort. First, she gave him encouragement. You are one of the most talented people here. I know what you can do. Then she gave advice. She showed him how she organized her calendar. She recommended a productivity system. She broke his assignments into smaller steps. Then she applied pressure. She added morning check-ins, progress trackers, and calendar reminders. She sent messages at 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. She asked for screenshots of unfinished work. When that failed, she protected him. She corrected his slides before clients saw them. She reassigned part of his workload to other analysts. She described his delays as a difficult adjustment period. Every intervention produced a few better days. Then the old pattern returned. Aisha believed this meant she had to try a stronger version of the same strategy. She did not see the system they were building together. Caleb could delay because Aisha would remind him. He could submit incomplete work because she would repair it. He could avoid deciding whether he wanted the role because she had decided for both of them that he should succeed in it. The more responsibility Aisha took for his motivation, the less space remained for Caleb to experience it as his responsibility. That afternoon, Aisha stayed with 2 analysts to rebuild the Northline model. They corrected the forecast at 6:47 p.m. The client agreed to proceed, but requested an independent review of the next 3 reports. The account survived. The team's trust did not. The following morning, Naomi, another senior analyst, asked for a private meeting. "I don't want to be assigned to Caleb's projects anymore," she said. Aisha began explaining that Caleb was going through a difficult period. Naomi stopped her. "Every time Caleb misses something, the rest of us get a new process, another tracker, another meeting. When we meet our deadlines, we get his work." Aisha did not answer. Naomi continued. "The rules are different for him because you believe he can be better." It was true. After Naomi left, Aisha opened the project records. In 6 weeks, 4 team members had absorbed 27 hours of Caleb's unfinished work. Aisha had canceled 2 planning sessions to correct his reports. The new trackers she created for everyone required another hour each week from people who had never missed a deadline. She had called this patience with one employee. On the rest of the team's calendar, it looked like unpaid faith in someone else's potential. Aisha had not avoided consequences. She had redistributed them to people who did not create the problem. Aisha had been managing Caleb's potential instead of his behavior. Potential can inspire patience. It can also keep you negotiating with a version of someone who is not currently showing up, at work, in families, and in relationships. This is how control often disguises itself as support. You focus on what the person could become. You interpret every small improvement as proof that the transformation has begun. When they return to the same behavior, you blame the plan, the timing, or yourself. Anything is easier than accepting the data in front of you. They are not ready, or they do not want what you want for them. That truth feels unbearable because their choices may affect you. Caleb's unfinished work affected Aisha's reputation, the client, and the entire team. So let them cannot mean ignoring the problem. It means seeing the problem without pretending you can control the person inside it. Let them. Let Caleb dislike the role. Let him feel uncertain about his career. Let him decide whether he wants to meet the standard. Let his repeated choices reveal his current level of willingness. Let them is not the absence of expectations. It is the end of trying to manufacture another person's motivation. Aisha could not make Caleb care about client strategy. She could define the job. She could provide useful support. She could explain what would happen if the work did not meet the standard. She could decide what she would no longer cover. That is influence. Influence offers information, structure, encouragement, example, and choice. Control tries to guarantee the choice another person will make. A clear request gives someone a door. Pressure tries to drag them through it. 2 days after the client meeting, Aisha asked Caleb to sit down with her. This time, She did not begin with his talent. She placed a single page on the table. It contained 4 sections: facts, request, support, choice, and consequence. Under facts, she listed the observable behavior: 3 missed deadlines in 6 weeks, 2 incomplete reports, 1 inaccurate client presentation, and work reassigned to 4 colleagues. There were no labels such as lazy, careless, or unmotivated. Facts describe what happened. Labels pretend to explain a person. Under request, she wrote the standard for the next 30 days. Drafts submitted 48 hours before client review. Blockers reported the same day they appeared. And corrections owned by the person who produced the work. Under support, she offered 2 options: training for the new client responsibilities, or a conversation with human resources about available individual contributor roles. Then she reached the final section. If these standards are not met, Aisha said, we will begin the formal performance process. I will not rewrite your work or move your deadlines without a documented reason. Caleb stared at the page. So this is an ultimatum? No. An ultimatum is designed to scare you into making the choice I want. This is clarity about the job and what I will do. He leaned back. You already think I've failed. I think the current pattern cannot continue. Aisha paused. Then she asked a question she had avoided for months. Do you want this role? Caleb looked toward the window. I don't know. In the past, Aisha would have answered for him. Of course you do. You are good at this. You work too hard to leave. Instead, she said, I need you to decide. I won't decide for you. The silence that followed felt irresponsible. It was not. It was the first moment Aisha returned Caleb's career to him. That is the let me half of the framework. Let me make one clear request instead of delivering a weekly lecture. Let me offer support without assuming ownership. Let me model the standard I am asking for. Let me create consequences that protect the people affected by the behavior. Let me accept the answer contained in repeated action. For the first 2 weeks, Caleb met every deadline. Aisha noticed the old hope rise in her. He is back. This time, she did not build a future from 2 weeks of data. She thanked him for the completed work and kept the same expectations. In the 3rd week, he missed a draft by a day. He told Aisha before the deadline and corrected it himself. That was progress. It was not proof of permanent change. At the end of the month, Caleb asked for another meeting. I don't want the client part of this job, he said. I kept thinking I should want it because it was a promotion. I don't. There was no open technical role at the firm. Caleb had applied to 2 other companies and wanted to resign. Aisha felt disappointed. Part of her still believed the right manager could have kept him, motivated him, or returned him to the analyst he had been before the reorganization. Then she looked at the person in front of her. Caleb was not refusing to change. He was finally choosing a change Aisha had not selected. His departure created real work. The team had to redistribute accounts and hire someone new. The client review remained in place for another quarter. There was no neat reward for letting go of control. There was only a more honest problem. Aisha met with the team before Caleb's final week. She removed the universal progress trackers and acknowledged that she had protected one person by quietly asking everyone else to compensate. I confused believing in someone with lowering the cost of their choices, she said. You carried that cost. I'm sorry. Naomi did not immediately reassure her. The team needed more than an apology. Over the following month, Aisha assigned work by current performance rather than hoped-for potential. Trust returned through those ordinary decisions, not through a single meeting. 3 months later, Caleb sent Aisha a short message. He had taken a technical analytics role at a smaller company. He did not say the new job had transformed his life. He said he was doing less client work and sleeping better. Aisha replied, "I'm glad you found a role that fits." She did not tell herself she had caused his decision. She also did not call his departure a failure. You can influence another person. Your example may inspire them. Your question may help them hear themselves. A clear boundary may bring reality closer. Encouragement can make a difficult first step feel possible. But influence has no guarantee. That is what separates it from control. If you are trying to make someone change, draw your own 4-part page. Facts. What is actually happening, without labels or predictions? Request. What specific action are you asking for? Support. What are you genuinely willing and able to offer? Choice and consequence. What belongs to them? And what will you do if the pattern continues? Consequences are not punishments used to produce obedience. They are decisions that protect your time, responsibilities, safety, or values. In a workplace, that may mean documenting performance and following policy. In a relationship, it may mean changing what you participate in, pay for, cover, or tolerate. And there are situations where stepping back is not enough. If someone may harm themselves or another person is experiencing a medical or psychiatric emergency where the behavior involves abuse, violence, dangerous impairment, or a child's safety, seek qualified or emergency help. Let them is never a reason to ignore immediate danger. For ordinary change, however, your task is more difficult than finding the perfect argument. Tell the truth, make the request, offer appropriate support. Then allow the other person's choices to become visible. You can hold a light near the path. You cannot move someone's feet. And sometimes the hardest person to release is not an employee or partner. It is someone in your family who is struggling. Their rent is due, their job is gone, their choices are painful to watch. Every time consequences arrive, you step in because allowing them to fall feels like abandonment. But what if the help that protects them today is also protecting the pattern that keeps them stuck? That is where our next story begins.